Let us begin with that remaining part of uh, a biographical essay written by Emerson. Biographies of Shakespeare by Dice, Collier, then Arbery and Rowe. So these are the people who narrated Shakespeare's life. They gave all those details regarding Shakespeare. They discussed the information which is material. They described his character, his fortune, his luck, his life story. And with that, we can meet Shakespeare in detail. We can get information from that about Shakespeare. So these people, they recorded so many things, recorded the information of Shakespeare's life and death, his love, his wealth and poverty, his prizes of life, and the ways how he lived his life. So, in this way, we can find a number of things about Shakespeare. Emerson says that if you want to know about Shakespeare in detail, you need to understand his writings. Like when you read sonnets by Shakespeare, that time there are so many things which are revealed through these sonnets. He has his own life story in these sonnets, his friendship, his love, his confusion of sentiments, his helplessness, and his intellect. When you know his personal life and you relate these things with sonnets, you can understand so many things, and vice versa. When you read sonnets, you can understand about his personal life also. So, in this way, what is hidden in that uh, sonnets as well as in dramas, when you read his dramas, you can find his characters. Like he was very gentle person. He was that person who lived his life with full delight, who had so many friends, who was a very hospitable person or having hospitality, who was very cheerful person. So you can learn a lot uh, about Shakespeare, his nature, when you read his dramas, when you read his sonnets. So, in addition to the information provided by all those biographers like Arbery, Rowe, and Dice, we have so many things from his work of arts about him. So, when you understand these characters by Shakespeare, like Timon, Warwick, Antonio, the merchant, you can understand Shakespeare's great heart. You can learn about him. Shakespeare, who was least known by his that biography than by his works, you can say. Emerson wanted to highlight so many things. How Shakespeare is unique while writing literature. His unique contribution for literature or to literature. So he has pointed out morals, manners, economy, philosophy, religion, taste of people, conduct of life in his dramas or in his writings. He has opened all those things, disclosed the mystery, his knowledge. Then he has presented us all that information regarding that office or function or district of man's work, all these things. So all type of delicacy of women, or how those people loved in Elizabethan period, or how they expressed their love, what type of behavior of gentleman was expected in that particular period. So he has given all these things through his dramas. So in this way, he is very successful poet and philosopher, and he was very valuable to us to understand. So, what are the thoughts of Emerson about Shakespeare? See, Emerson thinks that Shakespeare was a full man who liked to talk, a brain he was, who had so many thoughts and images, and due to that only he could write so well. He could write such great dramas. So he had that number of skills so that he could be that successful or good dramatist and the best dramatist of the world. According to Emerson, Shakespeare has to say that how that life of common men is important for us to be known, and he revealed all these things before us. So, the voice Shakespeare and his books of life are very important for us. He wrote the airs for all our modern music. Emerson says Shakespeare wrote the text of modern life, the text of manners. He drew the man of England and Europe out of his work. So, in this way, he is the father of the man in America. This is very important statement he does for Shakespeare. He drew the man and describer of the day. So Shakespeare was a man and he described that man of the day. So he is very successful in reading the hearts of men and women of the contemporary period. So these are the things actually you can find out about Shakespeare after knowing this article, Emerson's writings. So Shakespeare could derive the mother's part from the father's part in the face of the child, or he was successfully drawing the fine that distinction or that freedom and fate. He knew the laws of repression, which make the police of nature, and all the sweets and all the terrors of human. So many things he could find out in his dramas. So this is how it is important to know about Shakespeare. That Shakespeare is as much out of category of eminent authors as he is out of the crowd. So he is. So it's very important to be known that this is actually that author wanted to tell us, Emerson wanted to tell us that he was common as well as he was outstanding. So in this way, he calls him a player, he calls him that dramatist who performed so many dramas with his that fellow mates or other actors. He is inconvincibly wise, the others convincibly. So he is out of that category of eminent authors. You cannot call him eminent authors, uh, and you cannot even include him in the crowd. But he was wise and very convincible, according to the author Emerson. So, in this way, there is some doubt in our mind whether that Emerson is fully appreciating Shakespeare or not. So it's actually the point of discussion by so many people with some sentences which are found doubtful in this essay whether he is totally appreciating Shakespeare or not. So Shakespeare is not reachable according to Emerson. He is the person. It's very that uh, difficult to get the information or knowledge about him. A good reader can, in short, nestle into Plato's brain and think for Athens but not into Shakespeare. So it is difficult for reader to understand what that Shakespeare was thinking of. So we are still out of doors. We can't understand his full personality, says Emerson about Shakespeare. So his executive faculty for his creation, Shakespeare is unique. So he is not eminent writer, but he is creator. He is that creator of what? Creator of getting something old and making it new, remodeling it. So no man can imagine it better than Shakespeare. He says he was the that farthest reach of subtlety. So his individual self. He is that subtlest author, and only just within the possibility of authorship. So he is the fellow who was wise according to him, and this is how he wanted to narrate the greatness of Shakespeare. So with the life or the wisdom of life, he has presented his imaginative lyric power, and he presented his sentiments before us, and in that way he is the person of talent who could tell the stories before us, with his observations, with his topics, with his options, and with his prominence. So this is all about Shakespeare and his uniqueness, according to that Emerson. So Emerson says that Shakespeare has no peculiarity, no that a very important topic, but all is duly given. So he has his own painting style, with that he has narrated whatever that was great and whatever even that was ordinary that came to him. So in this way you can find that a very uh, information about Shakespeare with this narration. In short, Emerson says that Shakespeare is the chief example to prove that more or less of production, more of fewer pictures is a thing different. So he has produced with whatever he has. He had the power to make one picture. So you can see this is that wisdom of Shakespeare. There are always objects, but there was never representation. That was fact, and due to this only Shakespeare could collect so many objects, and he presented in well organized manner. So this is how he did all these things. No recipe can be given for the making of a Shakespeare, but the possibility of the translation of thing into song is demonstrated. His lyric power lies in genius of the piece. So of course, after knowing sonnets, you can understand his capacity to write lyric or poems. The sonnets are actually, though their excellence is lost in splendor of the dramas. Actually, dramas by Shakespeare are most appreciated things, but not the sonnets equally appreciated. So, when you consider sonnet, these are of less merit according to Emerson. So, the tone of voice is there, which is not that much influential one when you compare with the lines of plays. So sonnets are less famous by Shakespeare. So in this way, you can find that Emerson has discussed the greatness, and even that some negative points about Shakespeare. So let us stop in this lecture. We'll continue in the remaining